Okay, we're good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hawaii Entrepreneurs. I have Kili here. We have Daniel and Micah. Guys, today we are going to talk about Shaka Tank. What this platform is made for is to throw around some ideas and some things that maybe local entrepreneurs are thinking about, ways that we can really help the community, help the economy. And today we're going to be hearing about Micah's idea. He has some great ideas, local boy from the east side, from Waimanalo. And we thought it would be awesome for him to give us a little bit of the insight of what he's doing and see if maybe we can help him, guide him, and help him, get his entrepreneurship going and maybe help his business out. Daniel, did you want to add anything to this, brother?
Yeah, so Micah, it's good meeting you. It's first time meeting, and I'm just kind of curious, like, what the business is and kind of the story of like how you came up with this or this idea. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Micah. So basically the idea that we had behind this was actually passed down from my great grandfather to my dad, and then kind of instilled into me. So it's basically been a legacy thing that's been going on, and my idea kind of started coming to life probably about 3.5 years ago. I just had left my job at the hotel, and I was actually pursuing something else. And in that time, I actually got back with my father, who is actually building canoes. So he builds canoes. Pretty much he's been doing it his whole life. It's been something that's been passed down from generation to generation. And for me, I didn't want to see that. Basically, I didn't want to see that die. I didn't want to see the tradition of building canoes or actually having that knowledge disappear. In Hawaii, I think a lot of people realize that our traditional values have definitely, I would say, tapered, and it's trying to come back, but there's a lot of things that everyone else is already doing. And I do know that right now, building canoes, building team bonding and things like that have also incorporated within this. Do you guys mind if I share a screen with you at this time?
Absolutely.
Go for it, brother. All you, Mike.
All right, great. Let me go ahead and share this with you. Oh, do you mind giving me the host to share it?
Okay, sorry about that, bro.
No problem. But yeah, so basically what happened was I sat down with my brothers and with my dad, and we actually decided to start this thing called the Rudderless Hawaii Wa'a project. Let me know if you guys can see that.
Yep.
So this is, we basically started it. We tried to create the Rudderless Hawaii Wa'a LLC. So we did take the steps to actually try to get this going in one direction, which was we actually wanted to build this company based on the support and development of training young kids. So involving families with their young kids as young as 5 years old, being able to get them into a canoe and do a sport activity. But with that, we wanted to build based on not just the families, but there's a lot of individuals in here that actually really, really appreciate the culture. And what that happened was my dad, who's featured right here. My dad he's been a canoe builder his whole life. It's been passed down from my great grandfather to my grandpa to my dad. And I didn't want it to stop there. My story was, at the time I was, I went to regular public school, transferred to a private school in 7th grade, graduated from a private school. Then I went to a private college in the mainland. And a lot of it was for academics and then also for sports. So I was highly involved in a bunch of sports. So I did collegiate soccer, and then I also did collegiate track. And in the same sense, I've always been an athlete, but I started realizing where my heart was lying, which was actually being around my family. So when that happened, my dad basically was building canoes back home, and I wanted to learn. So I didn't want to be left out. So we created this, and we started a small apprenticeship program where we started training young athletes to actually learn everything about canoes and building canoes. And we started off doing this project with one man's. And how it happened was, this is my dad's Tahitian brother. His name is basically Christian Marston. He's from Kauai. He's the owner of Tahiti Nui, the bar and restaurant in Kauai. and him and my dad have been, brothers since young kids, and they paddled together. And he basically told my dad that he needs to get back into building one mans because, there's not too many people out there. So I decided, okay, that's it. I'm all in. What was it going to take? And it took me to actually learn how to actually paddle. And then before you know it, I was paddling. Then I was racing. I was competing. And then I was training young athletes. And then my dad was teaching me how to repair canoes. And, it's really something that's a lot of people don't ever get the chance to do, is touch a koa canoe and be a part of it. And I was able to basically try to take the idea that he was trying to give me. And I was like, how am I going to make this better? What are we going to do with it? How are we going to run with it? And then with this whole concept, we actually wanted to turn it into more of basically a community building, whether it's with companies or with families, and basically bring them along to actually learn about canoe building. But my family also does the whole other side. We do a lot of emus. We do a lot of cooking, making pig, lau, haupia, you name it. Anything to do with food, my family's all about it. So I grew up around doing food and culture. And with that, we also farm taro. And so we actually wanted to take our property and make it an area where people could come and learn. And we didn't want it to be so commercialized to the point where people don't actually get to understand the real local way of just being in the backyard, backyard talk, kanikapila, learning a thing or two about just Hawaiian culture in general. And that's where we kind of started kind of dialing in on things. And that's kind of like the basic of what we got going on.
Got it. Very cool. So just to kind of recap this. So it looks like you're from like a sports background. I don't know if you want to keep sharing the screen. I mean,
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're from a sports background. Your family has been, I guess, making these canoes for a long time. And you're trying to create, is it kind of like almost like a cultural experience for, is it locals or is it for, like, who's your target audience, you think?
So I truly believe our target audience is pretty open. I mean, it can appeal to pretty much anyone, but we were thinking of targeting, I think, on the main sense of even company building. So when you do team building projects with companies, it's a perfect place to go because of how isolated it is. My parents' location, there's 2.5 acres in Waimanalo. So we have a pretty good sized property where we can house or manage to bring people there and give them a sense of location where there's not too much influence and they can really develop as a company. So I've been to a lot of team building projects. I mean, you have people go on retreats and things like that, but we wanted to even present that as another avenue where you could actually do a hands-on type of thing where we could actually, make an emu, do some canoe carving. We could basically tailor it basically around anything that company feels that they wanted to do, and create some sort of package around that, which would be pretty incredible. And also just kind of a place where someone can come and just, see how a local family is living and what they're doing.
So, and then just curious, have you actually been able to deploy this yet, or is this just kind of in the conceptual phase?
It was in the conceptual phase, but because we've already established this rudderless Hawaii Va'a program where I'm training kids from literally the age of about 5 years old to pretty much in their early 20s. I do train a handful of kids, and because of COVID, we've had to back off the regulations this past year. And so we did try to revamp it because there's a lot of guidelines that needed to be followed, obviously. And I think with it, even better, this idea is even better because of the way you can isolate and actually, maintain a location or an environment that's still healthy and safe for everyone. And definitely we are on the pre-launch phase to what I feel like we're heading to. But we are lacking some things, and I think that's why we haven't fully launched it yet.
So as of right now, the business model is more for canoe training than for like kids from 8 to 20 or 5 to 20-ish, right?
Yeah, as of right now, the canoe apprenticeship program would be more geared to that. But because of the location and because of, I think, my family's I would say, I want to say expertise because this is something they've been doing their whole life. My mom was a florist. She's been doing floral since I was a kid, and she's also a Hawaiian archaeologist. My dad is a carpenter and foreman by trade. And so, you know, he's always been with his hands, just building things that you can imagine. And with that, I believe we had the vision of actually establishing that type of retreat slash educational program, if you will.
Got it. I love it. So, you know, I have a friend of mine, he does corporate retreats in Colorado, and, you know, it's highly profitable, right? So, you know, he takes people on these ski resort trips.
Wow.
And, you know, he'll bump them up. They'll have like, you know, 10, 20 people, or like even like, you know, 3 to 5 people of their executive team. And I actually gave him this idea. I called it like a retreat in a box, right? And I remember because I would do these back home with my own company. So I'd go rent out a place in Palm Springs, and I would take my executive team there, and we'd make a 3-day kind of like a
itinerary,
itinerary. And, you know, we would cook together, you know, we would spend time brainstorming together, and we would go do activities like hiking and stuff. And like, you know, there's something a lot more, you're a little bit more present when you're not like in the office environment sometimes. Like sometimes on a human level, you get, you know, you're like literally like showering, and then you go eat, and then you go sleep, and then, you know, and then you talk about business in between. And sometimes the flow happens a lot smoother when you're not in this like boxed, like office environment, right? And a little bit more free flowing. So Micah, I'm already a big fan of corporate retreats. I've done them for my own company. And again, I've seen my friend in Colorado have some success with that. You know, it sounds like you're kind of early stage. Here's a couple questions I have for you, right? So one, the location that you have, it sounds like a large location. Is it something that is set up for retreat? Like, is there multiple like sleeping bunks there, or is it like tents, or like how would that work if someone were to go to the location?
That's a good question. So we're actually, we actually have 2 houses on the property, but we're actually in the phase of meeting with a contractor to actually redo the front one of the 2 houses. And we were actually trying to do it in a way where we could basically do it like a duplex style where we could still house people. So we are on the early phase of actually trying to get that in order. Also, we do have a pavilion that we're trying to build right now. We have the material for it. We just actually need to put it up. So we're looking at building pretty much like close to a 24 by 40 foot pavilion. We do need to stay under codes because we are on technically ag land. So there is some codes that you have to follow and procedure wise. But we did put in for that as well for permitting purposes. But we do have, I think, a lot to offer. And then after that, we do have what we were doing where, for example, like if you wanted to do tenting, like if somebody wanted to camp out in there, we have literally, you know, 2.5 acres where you could literally just pop up a tent, you know, camp out if you wanted to really. But there's definitely, it's so versatile at this point where even if it's in the earlier stages, I think it can build up to a lot more. So I believe physically seeing the property is a lot more helpful.
You know, one thing that's interesting post-COVID, right? Like now that things are kind of opening up, I know travel is going to be big, right? So, I mean, I'm already seeing a lot of people coming in right now. I know a lot of people are trying to get out of their homes. So one, I think it's a great idea, Micah. And I think that you also incorporating some of the cultural richness of the canoeing and like your family, I think is great. Just a couple ideas to throw out there, right? So like if it was for me, so I'm originally from California. I live here in Oahu right now. You know, I would love to go to something like that just with my family, right? Like, you know, people are very, you know, experiential creatures. I was telling Kali and Darren, I'm like, hey, maybe we just, for Hawaii entrepreneurs, we go there, or even do an event there. That'd be kind of cool. Like, you know, just do a Hawaii entrepreneurs event, charge people X amount of dollars. They could go for the day. They could do a retreat, have speakers and stuff like that. That'd be amazing. So one, it'd be kind of cool to try an event like that because it does almost feel like like it could be a day luau or a 3-day luau or something like that, right? And then I think also incorporating like personal development is really powerful, right? Because there's like, you know, another thing, like, you know, you could do, I used to do this with my retreats where we would put on like a Tony Robbins thing, or I would put Darren Hardy on, or I would put on like some of these things, and we'd have like a small 1 or 2, 3-day curriculum that we would go through. And we would break out, have ideas, come back, think about ideas. And then honestly, some of the best ideas that from our company came out from these retreats, because we were focused and we were intentional about coming up with ideas, but we were removing ourselves from the office where we were kind of interacting as humans, right? And leaders of our company. So one, I think the idea is great. A couple of thoughts I have, like one, I could easily see this being like a retreat center in Waimanalo, right? And there's great beaches there too. I mean, I could see, like, just vision wise, I could see a company pulling up with 5 to 10 people of their executives, parking it there. They could either get the house or they could get a tent package. Probably got to figure out the pricing for that, but maybe there's a set of like 5 surfboards that they could rent, like, or they can use as part of their package. That paddle boards, you got the canoes there, you have food, you have everything kind of laid out so that when they go there, it's like a retreat in the box. And like maybe even when they come, there's like almost like an itinerary, a package that you kind of preset with them, and maybe some curriculum that they can go through, so they don't got to think. Like, I think that's one big thing that CEOs and C-suite,
they don't want to think. They don't want to think about anything. They just want to go there and do it. No, so what you're saying is exactly what my dad's already envisioned. Was literally, you create the package, you get package A, B, or C. This is what you can do. So if you guys want to, hey, do you want to make an emu one day? Do you guys want to just do a cookout, whatever you want to do for like the evening? Or we could even bring in we have local chefs, right, in the area. Hire local chefs, have them come in, cook for people. And so the idea is to incorporate community, right? Is building on how are we going to help the community as well. And perfect way, right? Reach out. Hey, do you guys want to we have a yoga instructor that lives right across the road from us. Hey, you want to do a yoga in the morning? Boom. Now we can incorporate her into the package. We also have a lomi lomi area that we can set up, right? So people want to go do massage areas. We actually have a reservoir that was above us, and we have a river that runs through our property, is where we actually feed the lo'i patches for our kalo. So even like that, hey, you want to jump in the taro patch, pull some kalo, make some kalo. So there's so much opportunity, and like with that, and just like you said, make packages, be presentable. My dad was like that. Hey, go buy a couple nice transport vans, right? And be able to pick up people, bring them right to the location, drop them off. And, and like you said, there's activities. There's a hike, there's the trail right up the road from us. There's the Old Horse Trail, the Pali Trail, Olamana Trail. So there's a bunch of opportunity to get involved in this, if you will. And I think realistically, we have a lot of vision, and I think what you're saying is absolutely right. Just a little bit of, hey, mentor, like, this is what you're missing. How do we get you, if you want to put a pavilion, how do we get it up for you faster? How do we, incorporate all these things? And I think that's why we have the idea. We just need to fast track certain things and just get it going.
I think being able to package in experiential type of activities along with personal development and business, I think you can't go wrong with that, right? Because every CEO has a budget. Every CEO wants their executive team to be engaged. So to be able to either fly their team out to Hawaii and have an experience that no one else is going to be able to give them, I think is a huge advantage. Or even on island. I can imagine a lot of the companies here that have been going through a lot of tension, obviously, from being in quarantine or being at home. And it's like now that things are opening up, it's like, hey, why don't we kickstart our company back and let's go on a little retreat. So I think even hitting up the hotels and hitting up some of the convention center, because I do think there's a lot of opportunity that's going to be coming in the next 2 years. And here's another question of mine. Is there anyone on the island that does this that you know of? Like, what the competition looks like?
A great question. So I kind of looked into it. I did do some homework, and realistically, a lot of people are turning to the more commercial side, right? Like, I mean, you've got like Polynesian Culture Center for one instance, right? And it's just this huge area where you can go and experience Polynesian culture, right? But there's nothing like this that is with hands-on / where you can retreat to and just kind of venture off on the package wise at someone's isolated location per se. So there really hasn't been much out there. We did have people try to approach us because they do know that we're canoe builders. They do know we have a big property. So we did have people that kind of wanted to, I think their intentions were a little bit different. But what we realized was we already had the plan in motion. We wanted to see how we can actually get it out there and get it going faster. So as for competition wise, really, you can look around and you won't really find anything close to this.
Got it. Got it. You know, I think if there, I feel the same way, right? So like the tourism here is pretty dominated by a handful of kind of, there's a traditional packages that have been happening already. I think Airbnb, they've been doing like more of the experiences. I think this is a great concept. Like, look, I would love to support it. I'd love to invest in it if you're open to it. I have some technical background and, you know, I think for me, I think it makes a lot of sense, you know, especially if you could figure out how to market it correctly, which, you know, Kali'i and Darren, we can work on that. You know, I do think that that's one thing to look into a little bit more is if there is anyone that is doing this. And then the second thing is to research other companies, not in Hawaii, that have done this, because then you can kind of take their playbook and use it. I would say the biggest thing though is focus, right? I wouldn't say like to do everything, right? So if it's like, you know, I would stick to like, I know they don't have Chipotle here, but like, you know, they got, I forgot what they have. It's like I saw a cowboy version of it, but they like, you can like go and you can make your burrito and you could, but they have like the fixed items, right? And yeah, I forgot the restaurant. What's it called? It's like Chipotle, but it's not.
Paniolos, I think.
Paniolos,
Paniolos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right there in Kailua. Yeah, yeah.
But you know, it's like, I think if you keep it simple and you're like, look, you get package A, B, or C, these are the prices that you have to pay. Because I think that'll be the key thing is to keep it simple where it's like, look, you know, you don't want to, you know, it's raining right now, right? You know, weather conditions or certain things. So as long as like, you know, I think you have a couple different variant things that you could do and it's not messy. And like, at the end of the day, you know, I'm thinking, you know, I guess that's another question. How many days or how long do you think is a good time frame for this retreat in a box? Sorry, I don't mean to enforce that and say, that's just the way I look at it, is like a retreat in a box kind of thing. But yeah.
No, I like it. And I agree with you. I even told Kili this idea was to test it with our team as well. Like have them come in, let's like set up on a Thursday, right? Have them come in and let's say we wanted to just do an imu with the team, right? Experience how to make an underground imu or Hawaiian style imu with the team. So basically bring, you know, laulaus, make laulaus with the team, prep the imu, you know, pound banana stump, get the stones out, make the fire, and then even in there, right? The fire's going, everything's lit up. You're just literally having dinner together, letting the imu do everything that incorporates with the imu. And then boom, we're all done. Everybody's showered, washed up, let the imu go. And then all of a sudden we're just talking about, you know, our business, our company, how we're going to grow. And that's how you can develop, just like how you were saying, right? You have time around, everybody's just having some cocktails, just, you know, enjoying their time, but still you can do a lot of things, you know, put up, a projector screen, play a big screen right there in the yard, watch a movie together. You know, there's so much things that can happen for sure. But
right.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think for me, Micah, one thing would be to like so gathering all these ideas and then like I said, like that Paniolo model, like, you know, really consolidating it to a few executable ideas that, because, you know, I think human beings, we do like options, right? We do like choices, but at the end of the day, I think we are very, we like when things are simple to understand. And if it's overwhelming, it's like, they might get, yeah, like paralysis by analysis type of thing. So one of the things that, you know, I'd be interested in doing is helping craft that with you and seeing how we can do that. You know, a couple of so just two other questions I have. Have you thought through the financial model of this? Like how much you're thinking about charging and, you know, what they would call the go-to-market strategy, right? Like what do you feel like your price point will be? Who are you targeting? What does the product look like? They call it the 4 Ps, right? Product, place, promotion, and price. Did I say price already? But anyways, like those are some of the things, right? So what is the price? You know, what's the product? You know, you already know the place, you know what I mean? So what do you feel like the financial model looks like?
You know what? So I think that was a great question. I think we did look into that a little bit, but I think, like you said, we needed to be a little bit more specific and tailored to the package. But I mean, even if you could generate something as much as, you know, you charge for the place, right? Like you said, okay, the retreat's going to cost you $1,000 to utilize the place. And then you could say like, okay, we're going to charge like $125 a head. based on package A, or 150 for package B. So realistically, we looked at places like Polynesian Culture Center. How much does it take for you to go in there? And we were trying to pick from there. And then like, how much would it take for somebody to take a drive to the beach, right, and go into a trip to the beach while renting out equipment? So like, if you're trying to incorporate all of these things on a package scale, realistically, I think that's where we wanted to try to start understanding what would be our best option. So doing the research is still something I think we need to find out on price point.
I think real quickly, I think that's a great way of looking into it. I would challenge to just look up corporate retreats and see how much they charge, right? Because if you try to break it down like that, you're going to be just like another tourist company, right? I think the value is a lot higher in the sense that you're saying so I think it's really important to understand your audience. Is it the general traveler that's coming here and they're like, hey, I need a place to stay. I could go stay in Waimanalo? Or is it, no, we are looking for people with groups of 5 to 10 people, or is it 30 to 50 people? What does that look like? So I think one, understanding the audience of like exactly who your target market is and like who you're trying to approach, and then like how they think. And then second is like the duration of it, right? Is it a week long? Is it a day? Is it 3 days? I think that would be another metric to think about as time. And then the price point, right? Because if it's a 2-week travel, like who's going to be able to afford that time and money, right? But maybe a day or 3 days, and like what can they expect and what can they see as a result? So, if I was to just shoot something out, I would say a 2 to 3 day retreat would be amazing. It'd be incredible, right? And weekend packages are probably a little bit more expensive than weekday packages, I would say. I think that, again, you would probably need to research this as far as price point goes, but doing like anywhere from $500 to $800 per person, I don't think is the worst thing, right? Because you got to think like, if I'm going to go on a retreat, I'm going to pay $100 a night, $150 a night, $200 a night. Well, all inclusive with the full package. If it's like, hey, each employee is going to cost me $800 to $1,000. Okay, I'm going to bring 5 of them, right? So if it's $1,000 each, I'm going to bring 5 of my employees. That's $5,000 for 3 days. Okay, I make sense. Plus it's a write-off. Plus I'm going to be able to bond with them. I don't got to think about anything. And then from there, you would need to reverse engineer. How much profit are you going to make as this company? So is $5,000 enough? Does it need to be 10,000? Does it need to be lower? And I think that's kind of where you might want to start as far as the pricing model goes, is to see what the general market price is, what people that you're targeting could potentially afford, and then how much you're going to make off of this. And I think that'll help you with your business of like A, B, and C to figure out if it's going to work or not. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's awesome advice. And I definitely will look into that. I definitely will. I'll probably be doing that as soon as we get off this call. Like all the planning has already been more or less done. It's just now refining all those things like you're talking about. So absolutely. I really appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah. Cause one problem I see with entrepreneurs and, business folks like ourselves, right? We have these ideas and we want to go and do it. And then what ends up happening is we bite off more than we can chew. You take this piece of steak and you're like, and then you like end up eating it all night. And you're like, I should have taken a little chunk, or like, been a little bit more methodical about how I wanted to do it. So I think that like at least exploring that will help you kind of process what this is and how to formulate what I would call as the product. Because I don't think the product is there yet. It sounds like you have a good idea, but then if you try to do too much, it'll just be like taking a steak. Oh, let's put salt on it. Let's put sauce on it. Let's put this on it. Let's put this on it. And then all of a sudden it just looks like a Frankenstein steak, right? So I think the few things that I like about this is, one, you have the property in Waimanalo, right? You also have beautiful beaches right there. You have this amazing, 1.2 acre, you said 1.5 acre lot?
2.5 acres.
Oh, sorry, 2.5. So you have a 2.5 acre lot. You have a reservoir right there. It sounds like the property is beautiful. You have like you have buildings there already. You just need to repackage it a little bit, and then I can help you on the web and maybe even a mobile app or something like that, where awesome. It looks smooth and you have a curriculum and everything. And I do think that if you add like, sometimes I like this quote. It's like slight tweaks lead to great peaks. So a lot of people, they try to make these huge adjustments when sometimes it's just like a little tweak, right? It's like a little adjustment, and all of a sudden you have the next, whatever it might be, right? Like Uber, it wasn't just, they had taxis, but hey, we opened it up and we allowed everyone to be their own independent contractor to drive their own car. A little tweak, boom, you have a new business. So one thing I think that could be cool also on a larger idea is maybe you could franchise this concept too, right? So you build this out, you build the packages out, and then you find other locations around the islands that also can do retreat packages. And now you have multiple locations that you're like, hey, this is what we own this system, and we want to incorporate this. And who knows, you know, you could have, once the the business builds a little bit, you could even do like physical training. Like I know people do like CrossFit camps and stuff like that, or like, you know, 5K runs or whatever. I think any form of joint experiential physical thing is really good for business. You will need to tweak it as you go, and you'll perfect it as you go. But I think the fact that your family has a canoeing background, I think the fact that you could, maybe that's what this location's sweet spot is. Like, we always do canoeing. That's our thing. You know what I mean? And we do canoeing, we do it really well. That's what we do. And we do these, you know, other components to it. But I don't think you would want to make it like, you know, there's a saying, like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So
Right.
just pick the few that I think would be like the best selling points of this particular concept,
Yep.
and then build around there. And if we could do that, like, I'm really big on focus. So anyone I work with or partner with, I just ask that they have their core competency. They don't try to do everything. They just find their sweet spot. And then if I could help that and I could help enhance it, more than happy to.
Perfect. I definitely want to do that. And I definitely want to go ahead and work on that and get that all dialed in. And I think it's going to be perfect.
Cool. Well, Khalid, I think that was a good Shaka tank, and I'm definitely down to invest and put some time and resources behind this. You know, Micah, really appreciate your story and kind of like how you went about, you know, like getting to this point. And I'm excited. I love entrepreneurs, you know, local entrepreneurs. If we could support local businesses and we can help, you know, smart people like yourself kind of take these ideas and turn it into actual, like, real business and make revenue, and potentially support other local entrepreneurs by, you know, not only bring them to your retreat, but also maybe working together as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's what I'm excited about, is actually incorporating other people to be a part of something so much bigger. So definitely.
One more idea out there, maybe. So I'm a big techie guy, right? Like, I like technology. I know a lot of guys from Silicon Valley that are moving here and stuff. And I have been talking about doing like a tech crunch or a hackathon type of thing on the island. I'm like, man, you know, what'd be pretty cool is if we partnered up with like a hotel or something like that, or an office space, and during the daytime, you know, they do a retreat or whatever, and then they go and they do like a mini hackathon where they build businesses. You know, that might be kind of cool, like a little retreat / building business entrepreneur like mashup, where entrepreneurs and startup people could meet each other. Hey, look, I think I've already been thinking about that idea, but that'd be great. If you have 2.5 acres and we could do something there, that'd be crazy.
Oh, that'd be great. We definitely need to sit down and get that going.
Cool. Hey, Khalid, any last words? And then we could maybe just wrap, and then we could talk a little bit after too.
Yeah, guys. So yeah, right on, Micah, Daniel, a lot of insight. Mike's great ideas. And I think the core about this all, Micah, what you're trying to do and what Hawaii Entrepreneur is really having that aloha spirit and showing whatever business you're doing to keep that vibes, right? One of the things you said, and I remember you just said you want to keep it more culture than more mainstream and commercial, right? Because there's a lot of luau's, there's a lot of Polynesian culture center, all that, which is great. Yeah, but that's awesome. And you know what? That's one of the things that I like about Daniel is, you know, he's coming here, showing us what's up, giving us insight, and he doesn't even know it yet, but he does have that aloha spirit. And that's what Hawaii Entrepreneur is, Daniel. And that's what we want to bring to everyone. So guys, I want to thank everyone for coming through. Micah, mahalos, Daniel, your insight. Guys, if anyone out there does have great ideas, want to talk story, want to see what we can do, and that's the best part about it, guys. You came to the right place, the place to connect, create, and collaborate with Hawaii Entrepreneurs. Want to thank you guys all so much for coming through. Aloha, everybody.